So y'all remember Publishers Clearinghouse Sweepstakes? You would win, and they'd show up with a big giant check to your front door. But who was the guy that showed up with the giant check? It was Ed McMahon. At least in my universe, Ed McMahon showed up with a giant check. Like, period. It's like, it's kind of ridiculous that Ed McMahon, I'm finding out now, his mysterious association with Publishers Clearinghouse. Yes, he is because he's the guy who showed up with the giant check to your door. Like, in my universe, at least. Like, apparently he was the front man for like a competitor, like their Publishers Clearinghouse competition. But it's insane. Publishers Clearinghouse is so associated with Ed McMahon and that giant check that I find it difficult to believe that he was never a part of it. See, here's an article from Forbes, and it says, when those of a certain age think of the Publishers Clearinghouse, they tend to remember TV ads featuring Ed McMahon knocking on a door while holding a big check. Even the Obama administration made reference to these advertisements, according to Michael Grunwald's recent book, The New Deal. Former Obama Chief of Staff Rahm Emanuel argues that a stimulus bill is denying ourselves an Ed McMahon moment, the grateful squeal of Publishers Clearinghouse pleasure that would greet an envelope arriving from Obama. So it's pretty well like universal that everybody remembers Publishers Clearinghouse and Ed McMahon with the big check. Fuck. He never left the studio to ambush families, and he never held a giant check. What the actual fuck is that? My reality is so wrong and so different from this that I find it difficult to believe. Wow. Publishers Clearinghouse never hired a celebrity to serve as spokesperson, and it was the prize patrol, not McMahon, who showed up on doorsteps with a giant check. So what happened that makes everyone remember these ads incorrectly? It's not as if they're misremembering a few details. They are entirely rewriting separate million-dollar marketing campaigns created by two companies. Wow. That is amazing. No giant check, no ambush at the door. So why does everyone remember that? I clearly, like, it's so obvious that I remember it, and other people remember it. Like, what the hell? The actual fuck? This one kind of blew my mind. So yeah, myth versus facts at Publishers Clearinghouse. Contrary to popular belief, Ed McMahon has never been a spokesperson for our company, has never had any affiliation with Publishers Clearinghouse. So I guess enough people remembered that they actually had to put it on their website. So here's like a joke site or a spoof site or whatever. But he was an American comedian, gangster. He was most famous for smuggling Publishers Clearinghouse Sweepstakes into Cuba in an attempt to relieve Cuba's gross deficiency in junk mail. Haha. This a book they mention. This better be Publishers Clearinghouse, and Ed McMahon rose from the dead with a huge ass check. Here's somebody ranting about direct mail. Oh yes, and they're still using celebrities as they used the late Ed McMahon for many years. In fact, I first heard of Ed McMahon through PCH. So there's another person associating. Like, yeah, it just goes on and on. Don't send your thanks to the ghost of Ed McMahon. Surely as individuals, we would welcome that knock on the door from Ed McMahon telling us Publishers Clearinghouse has chosen us. It just goes on and on. Everybody associates. Here's some people dressed doing cosplay or Halloween or whatever, and they have Publishers Clearinghouse on the check and Ed McMahon. Here's another person complaining about the shadiness of Publishers Clearinghouse, the scam aspects. Winners announced on television. Ed McMahon promoted, announced prize winners. Yeah, Ed McMahon was not associated with PCH. So here's a web page for NBC. I'm not sure where, but the grandmother of 8 said the money was a godsend on so many levels. She'd been sending postcards to Publishers Clearinghouse since '97, hoping one day famous spokesperson, the late Ed McMahon, would come knocking on her door. And they don't correct it or anything. They're like, this is a story about Publishers Clearinghouse. And yeah, they mentioned Ed McMahon as being the spokesperson. So as I was reading Ed's biography, they mentioned that he couldn't make his house payments, and he had to sell his house there in Beverly Hills. But who gives a shit if Ed McMahon can't make his mortgage payments? Then he bothered everyone with that Publishers Clearinghouse scam. This was actually his obituary. I guess he died in 2009, and by the time we first encountered Ed McMahon as the host of Star Search and the bearer of oversized checks from Publishers Clearinghouse, he already had white hair. So that's like in the obituary. Alright, so thanks for watching. I'm gonna call this a video now, and I think it's pretty interesting that so many people remember Ed McMahon showing up with a giant check when he did no such thing. Like, that to me is bizarre. If you asked me who showed up with a giant check with Publishers Clearinghouse, I would have said Ed McMahon. I'm shocked that it wasn't him, that he worked for the competitors, but it's interesting. Because this one's gonna, I'm pretty sure it's gonna be pretty universal, because so many people would remember that. So yeah, thanks for watching, and subscribe for more Mandela Effect.